Sadlier, welcoming you and thanking you for joining us. With us today is Victor Valenzuela, and he will be presenting to us the 6 tasks of catechesis and overview. First, I do want to apologize to you in case you received the invitation to the overview and then also received the invitation to each of the 6 tasks and noticed that one began this morning. We had a little bit of a scheduling snag, and because of that we had to rearrange things a little bit, and hence that's what happened. But with that aside, we're delighted you're here. We're really, really pleased with that. Thank you so much. As you are going through the webinar, in case you're not familiar with our presentation style, all of you are muted, and the reason for the muting is to prevent the background noises from any sort of disruptive or difficulties in transmission. The webinar will be recorded. At the end of Victor's presentation, I'll show you online where the recording link will be, as well as you'll receive that by email, and you will receive your certificate of attendance by email. All you'll have to do is, it'll be an email, and you just print out your email. It'll have like a picture of a certificate with your name in it. So with that in order, we'll begin our presentation. Victor?
Well, good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at.
Excuse me, Victor, you're echoing.
How's that?
Better, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I had a computer open to try to see what was on the screen. Well, good morning. I guess it's not good morning anywhere. It's good afternoon here in the Pacific Coast, and it's 4 o'clock out in the East Coast. Here in California, it's nice and bright and sunny, and I hope I don't make anybody mad by emphasizing how beautiful the weather is here in California.
Okay.
Today,
I'll
we're going
to interrupt you. We're 50 degrees in New York today.
Oh,
so
anyway, it's not
okay.
too bad. It's
No.
not too bad. So today we're going to talk about the 6 tasks of catechesis as a unified whole. And when I wrote the title, I realized, wow, the last 2 words are kind of redundant. But I really liked it because I think I want to emphasize that the 6 tasks of catechesis are to be used as a whole, as a cohesive unit. And sometimes I feel even though we're doing presentations on each one separately, I think we're doing each one separately just to go a little bit deeper into each one and kind of see how they're used throughout catechesis. But we first wanted to make sure that the umbrella, the whole thing, is kind of emphasized as a unified whole. And I want to start by asking you a question, and I don't know if Debbie told you, but in your little panel down on the lower right-hand side, you can enter any questions you have throughout the presentation, and I will try to respond, or Debbie will try to respond, depending on who can read the question the fastest. So my question to you is, how many of you remember your New Year's resolution? I was trying to think through mine and think about, what did I promise this year? And usually I try to stay very realistic with my New Year's resolution, but sometimes I get a little crazy and say that I'm going to do something that is totally impossible. But my New Year's resolution this year was to lose weight, just like it says. What was yours? Was it to pray more? Was it to start school and get a new degree? Which one of these was your New Year's resolution? So as I said, mine was to lose weight and or to be more friendly. And so you can type in your resolution if you'd like in the little question box, but mine was to lose weight. All of our New Year's resolutions have to do with improvement. Usually that's why we do it. We're looking for some sort of change in the way we're doing things and to refocus ourselves, making ourselves better. Lent is one of those opportunities that helps us improve and make ourselves better. Lent is a time to really strengthen ourselves. I see that some of you are responding saying, I want to talk less and listen more. I'd like to talk less and listen more, although my job is kind of talking a lot for too much. Some of you are saying continue to lose weight. Some of you are saying being more positive. Those are all great resolutions to have, and some person said they don't remember exactly what theirs were. So with with my New Year's resolution of the last several years, which has been to exercise more and strengthen my body, I've been trying to figure out how that is. But, you know, I'm not very focused with the whole exercise thing. I don't know about you guys, if you're that focused with your whole exercise thing. But usually for me, there's a list of things I can do to exercise more and lift more weights, or, you know, go to the gym, or those kinds of things. I usually choose just one thing. It's not that I choose one thing. I think I end up doing one thing and thinking that I'm doing a lot. So either I do the treadmill, or I lift a few weights here and there, or I take one of the classes they offer at my gym, you know, in whatever they're offering in yoga or Pilates or whatever they offer at my gym. They even offer some strange dance classes at my gym to lose weight, or just stretching. So I usually just choose one thing. It's not really very focused. But to be physically fit, really, and to improve myself, my exercise needs to include a variety of exercises. And they all need to be cohesive, and I need to be disciplined. And I think this is the part that I don't get. I think if I just buy a gym membership and show up and do one of the machines, that I think I'm going to be miraculously transformed. So it's not just about working out. It's also about my diet, my sleep, my social activities. So being physically fit is not just about going to the gym. It's a total approach. And that's what I have to change, is my total approach. And I'd like to think that the 6 tasks of catechesis work in a similar way. So it's not just about doing one of the tasks or 2 of the tasks. It's about doing them in a total approach kind of a way. And so maybe this Lent, as we're reevaluating the way we do catechesis, as we're reevaluating what we're doing currently, and maybe now we're on the downslope of the year, but maybe for next year, as we're looking at how we can do it, while there are 6 individual tasks, they all work as one cohesive unit. So they're all a whole. They're meant to accentuate the many dimensions of catechesis that are you know, part of catechesis, but they're meant to show in a very intentional and purposeful way why they're there. I'd like to think of them, if we're going with the workout metaphor, I'd like to think of them as the CrossFit for faith formation. I'm sure they have CrossFit at your gym. I know they have it at my gym, and I see some people doing some crazy things in there, but it seems to be disciplined, and it seems to be a variety of exercises, and it seems to be that they're very committed to them, which is different than, again, what I do at the gym, which is maybe stare at the Stairmaster. That's why they call it a Stairmaster, right? Because all I do is sit there and stare at it, and hopefully it will bring me some beneficial health benefits. So what are the 6 tasks of catechesis? I'm sure this is probably some information that you've known for many, many years, but just to review in case we've got some new friends that are joining catechesis and they are not familiar. The 6 tasks of catechesis are pray, know, celebrate, express, live, and share. Now, just to let you know that Sadlier kind of coined these phrases based on what was in the National Directory for Catechesis, and I'm referring you to the section 20 in the National Directory for Catechesis, which is on page 59. In there, you will find the 6 tasks written in these large paragraphs, and when we were looking to put them in simple ways that we could all understand, we came up with these key words, which are part of each one of the 6 tasks, and we included them in a revision of We Believe that we did called Project Disciple, which was our previous revision. Each one of these tasks, let's see if I can give you a little phrase just to tell you what they mean. And sometimes when you do these little short definitions, you really miss the breadth and depth, and that's why we're doing these other individual webinars on each one of these. But so let me give you a brief definition for each one of those. When we're talking about prayer, we're talking about speaking to God from the heart. So it's a heart prayer. It's not necessarily just a rote memorized prayer. It's not going to a book, although that can really lead you to a conversation of the heart. But for me, it's this deep communication from the heart to God that we do in prayer. Know is to have a clear and concise knowledge of the faith. So not too convoluted and not too light either on information, but just have the right amount of information to understand our faith that will help us grow. Celebrate is what helps us affirm weekly, daily if you want, who we are as Catholics. And I think what always comes to mind when I think of celebrate is the Eucharist, because the Eucharist is that weekly meal that we have that nourishes us in our faith journey. And I don't know about you, but for me, it's critically important that I get that nourishment to continue on my faith journey. Express, be able to make informed moral choices. You know, how do we choose between what is right and what is wrong, and what does the Church tell us about those choices? And I think that's part of the whole express piece. And then live out your faith. The goal of catechesis and the goal of all faith formation should be that we're developing disciples. And to develop a disciple means that when they're becoming Christians, you're making it a lifestyle so that they live a Christian lifestyle. That's what we're looking for, and that's the end goal of catechesis. And then, of course, share. Charity is at the core of who we are, and I think this is one of really a big theme of Pope Francis, is about showing that we're a church that cares, that is concerned, and a place where people can come and receive charity from the things that we share with the community. So those are the 6 tasks of catechesis with a brief definition. And one of the things that I find about the 6 tasks is how they're connected to the pillars of the Catechism of the Catholic Church. This is a little correlation that you'll find especially on our websites with We Believe. But here are the 4 pillars. I put the 4 pillars in their Roman numerals, as you can see, and you can see how they correspond with each one of the 6 tasks of catechesis. So the 6 tasks, I guess the point of this slide is to tell you that the 6 tasks spring from the 4 pillars of the Catechism of the Catholic Church. So they're I like to see them as kind of the place where we live out, where we put these 4 pillars into action. And so you can see the connections there with those. So what does the NDC tell us about the 6 tasks of catechesis? And I think this is, for me, one of the crucial points. And this is the last paragraph. I believe this is the first sentence of the last paragraph of this section on the 6 tasks in the National Directory for Catechesis. It says, these 6 tasks of catechesis constitute a unified whole by which catechesis seeks to achieve its objective, the formation of disciples of Christ. All these tasks are necessary in order to attain a full development of the Christian faith. So again, the very end of this section, and it goes on actually to really, I believe in the next sentence, in a sentence format, it kind of articulates how these 6 tasks are woven through all of catechesis, like what are the intentional ways that we do that. So I don't want to lose that vision of the National Directory of Catechesis when it says that these are meant to be a whole thing, not just piece by piece. It kind of reminds me of the whole concept of the seamless garment, or it kind of reminds me of a quilt. Those of you that are into quilting and knitting, it reminds me of, you know, when you use various threads to create one whole piece of garment. This is, I think, what this is talking about. Each thread is important, but in the end goal is the whole garment, not necessarily, we don't look at a garment necessarily for each individual thread. We look at it as a cohesive whole, and that's, I guess, where I want to focus our conversation today with the 6 tasks of catechesis. So what I've done, how do we use these 6 tasks in our catechesis? What I've done is I've broken down the rest of our conversation into 3 sections. What do the 6 tasks of catechesis mean for me personally? what do the 6 tasks of catechesis mean for me as a catechist? So how do I do it in my faith formation work that I do? And what does it mean for me as just a Catholic in my parish and participating in my parish? So I'm going to respond to these 3 sections kind of to give us an overview of the whole of the 6 tasks as they relate to these 3 sections. So going back to my metaphor, it's like going to the gym. So at the gym, I need to not only work my chest and arms, but my legs and my back. So it needs to be multi-dimensional in my approach to my workout. Similar to the 6 tasks in my personal life, I need to integrate them into my daily practice, into what I do in my faith every day. So if you take the 6 tasks and you think about, okay, how do I do prayer? How do I live out the faith? And I think we need to be intentional about naming those moments. I'm a firm believer that as a catechist, you will teach in your catechesis that which you understand about your own faith. So if I understand my own faith to be loving and caring, then I'm going to teach a loving and caring faith. So if you understand your faith around these 6 tasks of catechesis, then perhaps you will do that when you do your faith formation with children or with adolescents or with adults. So be mindful and intentional about each task on a given day. Maybe one of the ways, and I'm not a big journal person, but I know there's people out there who really like the journal approach. But maybe keep a journal so that you can review how each task was done. Or maybe do it in the reverse, maybe put it on your calendar. And maybe it's not even a daily thing. Maybe it's a weekly thing where you're focusing on one task during that week and saying, this week I'm really going to make sure that I do prayer or that I do charity, the share one really well. And then kind of at the end of the week, I'm going to do a little examine and see what ways was I able to accomplish that. Lent would have been a perfect time. Of course, we're already kind of midstream, but that would have been a perfect time to devote to each one of the 6 tasks. But it's never too late to find a time for us to make it an emphasis for that day. So maybe these are some of the suggestions of how we can do this in our personal life. How do I do the 6 tasks of catechesis as my role as a catechist? So how do I implement this so that I can share those with other people? One of the things is I'm a firm believer in environment and decoration with anything, especially in catechesis. My fear is that when we're doing catechesis is that we're telling people meet in room 101 or room 5A in the parish, and we haven't taken the time to make accommodations to modify the environment so that it looks like faith formation. Now, I know that there's a lot of people who do that. I see people walking in with, usually a bag or a box, one of those plastic tubs with all their little decorations, and they pop out a prayer table. But that's, I think, what I'm really focusing on, that we don't put people in these cold, unprepared rooms when we start our catechesis. And so maybe the 6 tasks of catechesis is a guide for you to say, in this corner I'll focus on prayer, and in this corner I'll focus on sharing, and in this corner I'll focus on the express. So maybe there's ways that you can do something with your environment of your room that always points back to the 6 tasks of catechesis. Write them as goals for both students and parents. So when you meet with parents, share with them, look, these are my 6 goals that I hope to accomplish this year, and maybe you can write out sentences for yourself, this is what I plan to accomplish. I don't know if we have any school people from Catholic schools on the webinar, but in Catholic schools, I was just reviewing a school, I believe somewhere in LA, and I was looking at their outcomes for their, and they very cleverly used the 6 tasks of catechesis as a guide for their outcomes for their school. So the goals of the whole school are the 6 tasks of catechesis. So that challenges all of us to take a look at how can we better incorporate these into a way that both students and parents, who are both stakeholders in what we're doing, are aware of these 6 tasks of catechesis. And then every time that you gather with parents, do some sort of prayer service that surrounds the 6 tasks of catechesis, or maybe maybe have a mini retreat with parents where each one of the tasks is highlighted during the course of the day. So these are kind of ways that you can implement them in with parents and students, but also in the choosing of your catechetical material. So when you go to review catechetical material that's appropriate for use in your religious education setting, maybe you could look for critically how are the 6 tasks incorporated into what we're doing in our books that we're buying, or whatever resources that we're buying. So for us, just to give you an example of this, for us at Sadlier, a couple of years ago, we revised and added these Project Disciple pages to the end of each chapter. These are culminating activities that we do at the end of each chapter. So I guess you could see them as a review. I think people could use these as maybe even a little test, a little quiz. Some people could use them as a review on the following session. And what we did is, I don't know if you can see this, but there's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 sections here. And not each one of these correlates to each one of the 6 tasks, but over all the sections of Project Disciple, we address the 6 tasks. The show what you know, the fast facts, the picture this, make it happen and share it, take it home. These are all related to the 6 tasks of catechesis. So if you were to ask me, again, the point that I was making is about catechetical material. If you were asked me, how does Sadlier intentionally and explicitly address the 6 tasks of catechesis, not only is it in the way we have written the narrative of the book, but also in this specific activity here at the end, where the kids and parents could even help out with this page. They can work on understanding the 6 tasks of catechesis. So as a Catholic, how do you live out the 6 tasks of catechesis for yourself as a Catholic? Well, I think the word for me that I've been really working with is the word integrate. And I'm not sure if I want to use the word integrity, but more, how do we integrate our faith into what we're understanding about our faith and what we're doing about our faith? So how do we put those 2 things together? And how do we then help others in friendly, helpful ways live out their faith? Maybe we see other people that are, if we look at the 6 tasks of catechesis, and we look at other people and we say, well, it looks like they're really focused on just doing this. Maybe, I think I saw this a lot when I used to teach in Catholic high school. I saw that I felt that the religion program and maybe the campus ministry program was very focused on doing community service or justice, or under the 6 tasks of catechesis, as I just named them, the share piece. They were doing a lot of the sharing with the community, going out there and doing justice. And I felt that maybe there was an overemphasis. I'm not saying it wasn't good. It was good stuff, and they were doing some great activities and maybe even some great learning. But I'm not so sure that they were emphasizing other areas of the 6 tasks of catechesis. For example, I'm not sure that they were connecting, and maybe some were, but I think in a general sense, they weren't connecting their social action, their justice activity, to prayer, or they weren't connecting it to Scripture, which would be the learn of the 6 tasks. So I think when we do activities in our parish, we've got to ask questions. Are they really balancing out every aspect of our faith? And again, going back to point number 1 here, is it integrated? Is it integrated into everything that we do? So maybe we need to model, number 3 here, maybe we need to model that integration of faith in our families. So sometimes even us in our families, I think for me personally growing up, I got the sense from my own mother that prayer was the only thing that you did in your faith. That if you prayed all the time, that would save you from everything else. And now, as an adult, I see, well, maybe I think we need to do other things than just pray. Again, we need to learn more about our faith. We need to share. We need to wrestle with the moral questions that are out there. So we need to be attentive in other directions as well. So for me, the key is integration. And when you talk about faith and integration, for me, the word that comes up is holiness. I think we're striving towards this holiness, and I think every pope that I remember, every document that I remember from the church, every even parish priests and even co-workers that have worked with me along the way, we're always striving for holiness. But how are we supporting one another in that road to holiness, and how are we helping one another to get to that holiness? So for me, I'd like to think about it as kind of like a key lime pie. I don't know about you, but for me, key lime pie is one of my favorite pies. And I thought about it the other day, and I thought, wow, it's like the 6 ingredients that you need for a key lime pie. Now, here's my recipe. I'm sure you guys have other recipes that probably call for more than 6 ingredients. I'm a lazy cook. I like to take the easy way out. But the reason I bring this up after discussing the 6 tasks is because I think when you're doing something with many ingredients, like this one happens to be 6, if I miss one of these ingredients in here, I think it could really have a. So I try to think through this, like, okay, if I take out the ginger snap cookies, well, then I don't have a crust. If I don't have salt, so the butter, well, you know, I mean, everything's better with butter. So you get the idea. If I go down through these ingredients and I take one out, it may not really be key lime pie. It may just be something totally different. So this is one of my other ways of just telling you, this is, to me, how the 6 tasks of catechesis work. They need to be integrated, and they need to be part of a whole that needs to work together. Lumen Gentium, you know, we are, I think at the end of this year, December of 2015, it's going to be 50 years since this document, Lumen Gentium, was written. It is the one of the last documents, if not the last document, that was written in all of the Vatican II documents, and it's a beautiful, beautiful document. Of course, Lumen Gentium refers to that we are the light of the world. We are the witness of Christ to the whole world. And I like what it says in this little passage here when it talks about integrated faith for an integrated life. And this is part of that section, I believe it's chapter 5 in Lumen Gentium, which calls for a universal holiness. We're all on this road to this universal holiness. And it says, thus, it is evident to everyone that all the faithful of Christ, of whatever rank or status, are called to the fullness of the Christian life and to the perfection of charity. By this holiness, as such, a more human manner of living is promoted on this earthly society. So really calling us to, all of us, to this holiness and to better ourselves is, I think, a really important part of what we're talking about when we're talking about integrating the 6 tasks of catechesis. So I don't know if there are any questions. Debbie, do you see any questions? I'm at the end of my presentation, but I want to take a few questions.
Oh, okay. I do not see a question. I do see a request. If you could go back to your screen, Victor, on the 6 tasks of catechesis.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yeah, because a few people had wanted to make notes of that.
So is it this page here with the definitions?
I think let me see. Bear with me 1 minute. Deborah, you were the one that posted that question. Would you respond? Was this the page that you were looking for? The other would be, if you don't mind, I'd like to just kind of review some of these other reflections. Oh, can we see? Whoops, I'm sorry, this is going all over. I was going to review some of the other. At the very beginning, you had asked our attendees. Oh, I was hoping for the next page comparing with the pillars.
Oh, okay.
All right.
There it is.
Is that the one? Okay. It looks like that would be it. All right. If for those of you who are interested, what we can do is put this into a like a chart on a Word document, and not today, but tomorrow. I can email it to you, and then that way you would have it. I can do it, or Victor can. If that
Sure.
will help you. But what I would like to do, Victor, like at the very beginning, you had asked others to indicate, like, what are some of the things that they've offered up,
New Year's
New Year's
resolutions.
resolution, yeah. And I think we can. There's quite a few comments here that are very relevant. Well, first of all,
And
congratulations
I can't
to
scroll
Marcy.
down.
I'm sorry?
I can't scroll down to read the rest of the questions.
Oh, you can't? Okay,
No,
because
so
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry, there we are. Yes. Okay, we'll do that. Susan, you wrote you would like to have the document as well.
Okay.
I'm not sure which document. And yes, another question came in, will this be recorded? What I neglected to mention at the very beginning, this piece will be recorded. What we'll do is I'll take you to to our website, or Victor, do you want to log into Savvy Religion, or do you want me to navigate?
I can go there. Hold on.
Okay. If you go to savlier.com/religion. And Carolyn,
Okay.
you had asked the question, does the Savlier Parish curriculum for K-8 cover all 6 tasks in every grade? Absolutely. Yes, positively yes on that. Okay. What Victor is showing you on this page is when you go to our main website, this is what you're greeted with. Victor, if you can click on the Learn More under Celebrating Lent. If you're looking for resources to use in any of your classes at various grade levels, where did it take you to? It should just give you a drop-down screen that shows you, yes, here we go. We offer, it's a family Lenten calendar in English and in Spanish, as well as Stations of the Cross in English and Spanish. Farther down there's Hidden Words, an Act of Contrition. So there's a lot of different downloads. But let's, scrolling back up now to, I'll show everybody where the webinars are. Up a little more. Okay. What you see in the gold bar is what we say our Pub Home, and then our blogs. We have various blogs that have resources and activities and downloadable prayers. Everything is free, as well as Creemos y Compartimos in Spanish. But if you go back to Pub Home, the first tab, Victor, right there. Thank you, and thank you, everybody. And you go to, oh, this is where I was wanting to. Click on the word Savvy or Religion in the top left corner. Yeah. We'll go back to the home page. All right, and let's click on, I was looking for the resource, where it takes you to resources. Nope. Yeah, up. Sorry, folks. All right. Let me go on mine. Anyway, when we get to our resources page, this is embarrassing. When we get to our resources page, you'll see a section that says Lifelong Faith Development, and that would be where where we go.
So I went into We Believe and Share, and the webinars are under catechetical in here.
Okay. Oh, okay. Alrighty.
So here are the webinars.
And here's webinars. And yes, and earlier there was a question asked about the series. If you click on Victor, the 6 Tasks of Catechesis webinar with the plus sign, in case, two more down. Sorry.
Oh, series. Sorry.
Yes, the series. If any of you are interested in attending the individual specific webinars on the topics, click on the green dates and you can register there. And then farther down on the page are the archived webinars, which is where this is going to be hosted and stored. So you'll see it there. Let me see. It's Veronica added a comment. It's interesting how you say that we teach from what we know or experienced. As I find as a DRE this is to be a problem. As Mike Carrata called it, catechist-driven, I find teachers teach what they are comfortable with, and therefore we fall short of attaining the 6 tasks. That is so true. Do you want to add to that, Victor?
Yeah, no, I would agree 100%, and which is why I think the 6 tasks. So let's say if in my experience, it's the one that I see the most out there is that second task of the 6 tasks, which is the learn. If you're really focused on the learn because maybe you think catechesis is just an academic subject that needs to be taught and tested, and and I'm sure there's lots of people that are out there that way. So if that's your experience of catechesis, then that's the way you're going to teach it. And I think the 6 tasks really help challenge our thinking on that and say, no, I think there needs to be a more balanced approach to this. So it's not just about the learn piece. It's also about the prayer piece and the sharing piece and the choosing piece, and ultimately building that lifestyle. Building that Christian lifestyle that we want to build in our students. So yeah. So I think if you're a DRE and you have catechists that are focused only on one of those tasks, this maybe a reflection on the 6 tasks really helps you see that there are other ones that maybe need to be developed.
Okay, alrighty. And then one other comment, will we have reps at Congress? Yes, we are. Our booth, in case you're going out to the Religious Education Congress in Anaheim, Victor is going to be speaking there. And then secondly, our booth is located right across from the ORE booth area. I'm trying to think of our number right offhand. I want to say 354, but I don't know if I have that correct. But we're right across from the ORE sitting area. It's like a lounge area, and they're doing postcards. You could send yourself an electronic postcard, while they're taking pictures, and then you send yourself an electronic postcard, attending the conference. And that's it. If there's no more questions, we'll end the webinar presentation. We thank
Let me.
all of you.
I have a little. Debbie, I have a little closing prayer that I want to. Oh, and I have a closing prayer that I want to finish with.
Oh, okay. Thank you. There are a couple more questions. How do I go about receiving a certificate? Tomorrow you'll receive an email that will have your name already in. What's a graphic image of the certificate. You'll just open up your email and print it out. That will be your certificate. There is a question here from Norma. How do we make parents see the richness of the catechesis? Do you have some resources for parents?
So yeah, we have tons of resources for parents, and 2 places, both in our We Believe, especially the new We Believe Catholic Identity, has some very strong components that really support parents and their catechesis of their children. I especially am thinking of right now something called the At-Home Companion that we have, and others. The new We Believe Catholic Identity is really based on retreats for K through 6 children, and part of the retreats are then brought home so that the parents can participate in kind of like a home component. So that's a really big positive piece of our resources. The other one is if you've not been to our website, sadlierreligion.com, and you go in through the religion, there's two ways you can go, academic or religion. If you go to the religion website, you'll notice that we have a tab that is dedicated just for families, so that you can, some of the activities that they're doing in class, that they could be done at home. And then, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it to you anyway. If you've got a bilingual parish out there, there is an exciting revision that we have for Creemos that's coming out at the end of this year that is really focused on the family and on family catechesis. And so we will be previewing that at LA Congress. So if you come by LA Congress, we'll be happy to share more information about the new family-focused Creemos.
Okay, and then Veronica also mentioned that she's rather new at her post and find her Catholic school teaching experience really does not line up with the parish faith formation, particularly from the standpoint of time or lack of. And the general sense of faith formation classes should be fun. Do you have any comment on that, Victor?
Yeah, you know, that's a big struggle. Teachers in the school setting are, you know, a lot of times have to teach it as an academic subject, and there's a lot of testing involved. And so, again, going back to what I said earlier about we teach from our experience, sometimes Catholic school teachers use that second task, the learn one, the knowledge one, and they're really heavy on that, and maybe they're lighter on the other ones. Whereas in the parish, it's more experiential, and maybe there's more of the pray, and sometimes in the parish it's maybe even reverse, which I'm not saying is the right thing to do, but it does happen this way sometimes, that sometimes the knowledge or the learn piece is not the strongest. And so I think, again, what the National Directory for Catechesis calls us to be is for all of these to be equally strong, to present as one cohesive whole. But it is a different challenge, and the lessons are broken up differently in the parish. You know, you've got a longer time period sometimes, hour and a half, as opposed to an hour every day that they do in the school. So it breaks up the lessons a little bit differently. So yeah, it is different. But again, I think our constant here is the 6 tasks of catechesis that will hopefully bring us all back to emphasizing all these pieces equally.
Okay, all righty.
So I want to do this closing prayer.
Yes.
So maybe if we can all put ourselves in the presence of God who is holy, and maybe just take a few deep breaths to focus on God's holiness and this prayer for a spirit of holiness. Gracious God, it seems as if holiness is reserved for those much more loving, generous, or dedicated than me. Broaden my understanding of what it means to be holy and weave it into the fabric of my life. Lace my words and actions with love. May each one bring me closer to you. At the same time, may I rouse others to answer their own call to holiness. Confident in your Spirit as my guide and inspiration, I pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. If you want a copy of this prayer, you can find it on Kathy Hendricks' blog, a Sadlier blog called WeBelieveAndShare.com. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we wish you a very blessed rest of your Lenten season and an amazingly holy Easter season. Thank you.